777, aka Diz, and this is The Force Always.
Okay, welcome to the show. Here it is once again. So let's get on with the Star Wars news, views, reviews, and interviews. And in the news this time around, Solo, a Star Wars story in the USA, is really going down. It had a dramatic drop in viewings there, about 60% plus. It did about $29 million. That's American, $29 million in the second weekend over there. So it's really suffering over there. To more news, Solo, a Star Wars story in Australia did 2.6, about 2.6 million. That's Australian dollars, $2 million here in Australia. Deadpool 2 edged Solo out in the second weekend, and Deadpool came before Solo, as we all know, and they did 2.7. Deadpool 2 did 2.7 here, and Solo did 2.6, just over 2.6, so edged out Solo a little bit here. To more about Solo a bit later on in the show, but anyway, to more news, Trixie is the new working title, for episode 9. Trixie, spelled Trixie. Interestingly enough, the middle two letters is an IX, which is pretty much episode 9. So there's the new working title. It was Black Diamond, now it's Trixie. So, I don't know, check that out. To more news, the Solo uproar in America is completely different to the possible uproar here in Australia. The uproar here in Australia about Solo is very, very minimal, but in America it's like a plague. It's like the worst film. It's added to what's the divide as we're getting to know in Star Wars. Here it's very minimal. The reaction to the film I'm finding amongst people, even just regular people I do know and don't know, they are not taking to it in such a bad way. In fact, some of them have said it's one of the best movies ever. In my opinion, I equal it with Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith. You know, you may like that or not like that, but for me, it's a great story. But, you know, the divide in America is really plaguing the internet right now and amongst the Star Wars hardcore fans. But, you know, we all have our opinions, and I respect yours, and I respect mine. I respect everyone's. The divide is just becoming the new disease of the world within Star Wars. But anyway, to more news, Star Wars Celebration 2019 in Chicago. The tickets go on sale today. Here in Australia, it will be about 3 p.m. when they go on sale. So you want to sort of check that out. That's 2019 in Chicago, Star Wars Celebration. Tickets go on sale. There's a great package, Jedi Master tickets, which has a whole lot of interesting material items in there. Some really good lead-ins to when you're at Star Wars Celebration 2019, where you'll get sort of first in line. You'll get a meet and greet, things like this. The ticket is, almost quadruple the regular 5-day ticket, but it's if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, I don't know, check that out. They may go quick, so 3 p.m. in Australia, that's Eastern Standard Time here in Australia, will win the celebration for 2019 tickets go on sale. This episode may not be on by then, but let's just see. But anyway, so that's the news for this time around. Let's get into the views. Views is not about the amount of YouTube viewage I have or anyone else has, or it's not about anything, not predictions. It's just about my story ideas for Star Wars. And I've sort of touched on this before, but I think in Solo, a Star Wars story, which, is a great story in my opinion, the character Qi'ra, and this is a bit of a spoiler, just to let you know. If you don't want to sort of know about this, just tune off now. The character Qi'ra sort of lends herself in the beginning stages, or we know as the beginning stages, to the dark side of the Force, a dark side, because Maul is with her at this stage. Maul, not Darth Maul, but Maul. So as he left this sort of Sith order, If you really watch the whole cartoons and the progress of his story, you'll know that Kira, I reckon, would be a great, an opponent to Rey in Episode 9. And if you think about it, Kira is the same age in the storyline of Star Wars as Han Solo. She would be much older, obviously, in Episode 9, but she would still be alive, an old Sith. Now, this would be a great enemy for Rey. I think it's a great idea. Having Kira sort of and connecting the whole stories of Star Wars in that would be good. No matter how you view Solo, she was a good part of Solo, and it would be a great opponent to Rey in Episode 9. That's my story idea. I'd like to see that happen, along with other story ideas in Episode 9, as I've sort of discussed, and we'll keep on discussing, but that's my sort of story idea for now, just to touch on it. So that's the views for this time around. Let's get into the reviews. Reviews this time around is going to be interesting. It's going to be about the Star Wars fans. You can deny it, you can, accept it, or whatever you like, but there is a massive divide amongst the fans. Ever since The Last Jedi came out, now Solo, the divide is increasing. Like on the internet, it's out of control. And to be honest, it's coming from the American area, because in Australia, the divide, look, there's a lot of people that didn't like The Last Jedi. But with Solo, it's not as much. Like, people are really digging the film. But the divide is happening. It's alive. What I suggest, my review is to how to get everyone back on board, or most people at least, is that the heads of Lucasfilm, including, Kathleen Kennedy, or any directors or story writers, Pablo, or anyone, they just need to make Star Wars hardcore fans front and center. Don't accept every single idea from the hardcore Star Wars fans. Like, you've got to sort of have a mind of your own, but you really do need to take on board. This is to Lucasfilm, Disney, the hardcore Star Wars fans. We are, the biggest punch for me with Solo was the ongoing annoying TV spots, as Star Wars and Disney does. It just really lessens the impact for viewing it the first time for Star Wars fans. But it was also having a premiere. The LA premiere was 2 weeks out from the actual release date. And not just that, they had a premiere also in Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival. So there was 2 points there where people could spoil the thing. And in fact, the review embargo was about a week or so before the actual release date for the hardcore Star Wars fans. Hardcore Star Wars fans want to be front and center. They want to know it before anyone else. I know this sounds selfish and it sounds like, oh my goodness, but why? What's the point of having a midnight session when they cannot sort of express it to their own hardcore Star Wars fans? Hardcore Star Wars fans don't really want to promote it to the normal commercial audience. They're going to go willy-nilly, whatever. But they want to be up front with knowing the story, the movie, sort of seeing it with the community. You really couldn't have a premiere where you included every single hardcore Star Wars fan. It would be massive, it would be a financial big undertaking. But if you're going to have a premiere, don't have it 2 weeks out, have it maybe a week, and you have a review embargo that comes out on the day of release. So my reviews that make a 10 out of 10 for respect to the fans, front and center, is you have a review embargo that comes out on the day of release. Now, it sort of doesn't work for promoting a film, but this is Star Wars. This is Star Wars. It's going to get people in the seats no matter what. It's starting to drop, but you've got to respect the hardcore Star Wars fans. They are the ones who are going to keep repeating the viewage. And if they know too much about it, or have a, less of a first viewing feel about it going into that film at midnight, what the hell? So this is my thing. You have a premiere less than a week out, and you have the review embargo come out on the day of release, whatever the worldwide release date is or close to. That's my opinion. That would give hardcore Star Wars fans a 10 out of 10 feel for seeing whatever Star Wars episode it is or non-episode. That's my review. So it's an unusual review, but it's a review because the hardcore Star Wars fans are being a little bit pushed to the side. They're, I think there's a sort of understanding, well, they're definites, they'll be there no matter what. But they're starting to drop off. And when they start dropping off in their massive numbers, it will affect the future of Star Wars. I don't think it would ever die, but, they said the Titanic wouldn't sink. That's my review for this time around. So 10 out of 10 if you can do it that way. A review embargo on the day of release and a premiere or world premiere that has it about less than a week before the actual release, whatever that worldwide release date is. Anyway, so that was the reviews for this time around. Let's get into the interviews. Now, the big talk online, is about Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm at Disney. Should she keep her job? Now, I'm in two minds. I think she's great. I think she's done a lot. I think she is not servicing the hardcore Star Wars fans completely, but I think she's doing a good job. I think she's really, putting Star Wars fans, what they want to keep on seeing Star Wars fans. But what's happening is that commercial audience people are starting to see, Disney are just trying to milk this and stuff like that. I think Kathleen Kennedy is doing a wonderful job, but, you do have to question for the future of this franchise whether she should keep her position. She's not really, getting it done like the Marvel president under the Disney banner. He's really rocking it. But I think she deserves more credit than she's getting at the moment. I think, look, if it was me, I'd probably have more of a creative head at the top. Someone sort of like, just someone like, I'd even appoint someone like Pablo Hidalgo, which is a story writer, making these movies. But the only problem with Pablo, he's a story man. He's just about the story. To really be the president, you really got to undertake a lot of business roles. Pablo is probably not the best choice, but it's someone that's more creative. Like you almost need two sections: a creative head and a business making decision head. But the business making decision person needs to sort of consider the creative head in a very high understanding, because some of the decisions that the creative head will make will not sort of like work out with the business head. But there was a lot of things about Star Wars that you need to sort of take on in risk form. I mean, think of the whole Star Wars franchise. In 1977, when George Lucas released this, it was one of the biggest risks ever. It's like, what the hell's going on? But it worked. Not just worked, it seriously worked. So just take that on as inspiration. Kennedy should stay as a business decision-making person, but the creative head needs to be separate, and it's somebody that is a story writer. The story writer needs to outweigh the decision from Kennedy. That's my opinion. It's a little bit confusing, but that's how you sort of solve this whole Kathleen Kennedy fiasco that apparently is just sweeping the internet like out of control. But that's more on that a bit later on. But anyways, that's my answer to that question. Now, my second question, Rian Johnson has a trilogy sort of set in stone coming out when, where, but it's a trilogy where what's been said, he'll direct and write the first one, and this number 2 and 3 will be written by him but not directed. Unfortunately, I think to do this is not the best decision. They need to really step down from this. Unfortunately, I think Rian Johnson is a great, fortunately, he's a great director, but when it came to the story, there was some sort of holes there, in my opinion, and to a lot of other people's opinion. I think personally that The whole Rian Johnson trilogy needs to be scrapped. Unfortunately, because of the divide from The Last Jedi reaction to the hardcore Star Wars fans. I think he's done his dash. But personally, don't throw him completely away. He's a great director, and his story is actually good, but it left us with a lot of holes. Like, for example, Episode 8, the way he wrote it, that Episode 9 is left so open, we've got no inspiration to think, oh, what's going to happen to this character? There's not much there, because a lot of it was wiped out in Episode 8. Snoke, Skywalker, that's Luke Skywalker, you know, the big dreadnought thing, the Jedi tree, the Admiral Heldaga, I think it was, Heldaga, that's right, Heldaga, it's like a name similar to that. Just a lot of emptiness. Lots of things started and ended within Episode 8 to create, at the end of Episode 8, nothing to be there. Episode 9 is now free to be its own movie, which may be a plan in trying to continue the episodic saga after 9. I don't know. This could be a to be continued sort of feel at the end of 9. Let's wish not. But it needs to have a conclusion. But I think the Rian Johnson trilogy needs to be scrapped. Keep Rian Johnson on as a director. Maybe just not in there so much head of writing. That's in my opinion. So, you know, but Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy, my goodness, are getting a lot of unfair press within the internet community, the official media, fans, non-fans, you know. They're doing a good job, I think. You know, we just can't really be paying out on them in a bad way all the time. Because they did create, and they have been creating good things for Star Wars. I mean, I think The Last Jedi to this day is an 8 out of 10. Originality, strong. But the story writing, it left us a bit empty. Anyway, that's my interviews this time around. There was two questions I asked myself for you guys out there, where I'm at, things like that. Anyway, so you please be a Patreon supporter of mine, where you go to patreon.com, find me The Force Always, assist this channel to financially get through. But if not, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to rock this on a weekly basis. The channel, The Force Always, Star Wars news, views, reviews, and interviews. Please subscribe to The Force Always, have notifications on, and like, share, repeat the video if you like. But until next time, keep rocking.